Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O Supreme, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Saviour having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of mirror with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the one gone to thusness I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime reality, to the Dharma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the sublime community intending virtue I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to their great Sangha, to all 3 ever devout homage. To all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms, in all aspects, with supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Page 15, The Heart of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gem. Thus did I hear at one time. The Bhagawan was dwelling on massive Vulture's mountain in Rajagriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagawan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perfection. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, and beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara. How should any son of the lineage train, who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element, and so on, up to and including no mind element, and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as the truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Tayata gate gate paragate parasangate bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Sharadvatiputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Page 25. Osashi purki jukshen nito chamri rabling shi nite gen padi sangye shing du mite ulwa Namdak Shingla Chopasho Jetsu Nama Dhampakenam Kichokukala Kense Chinjigne Jita Sampe Duchesin Mala Sakye Choki Chapa Bhaktu So Idama Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami Chodan Sogi Chonam La Janjo Bado Dani Jas Sage Chujin Jive Sonam Je Dola Benje Sanje Dobara Sanje Chodan Sogi Chonam La Janjo Bado Dani Jasum Sage Chujin Jive Sonam Je Dola Benje Sanje Dobara Sanje Chodan Sogi Chonam La Janjo Bado Dani Jasum Dāgī chūjīn jīvē sānām jī, dōlā bīñjī sāñjī dōbarā shū. Kāngē tō zē nyē sāvē, dāwā nā jē bāngwā yī, tēmbē shū nē tēn zē.
da kuno gomdes jaw asandro habejin kuno lago mare tachirandi singirvas.
And you should all be familiar with this. There's probably no need to explain it again.
다 가와 검수라.
So now rejoice.
다 드리는 자들이 럽종 지지 중하대. 구지 중하대. 개와상은 인체나 야고야라.
So think how fortunate this opportunity is to learn and to study the Dharma.
다. 다른데 디데디데스도 있지다. 다 근데 신이당参加사 다 도는 믹세 어디고를 게시해. 다도 상마 먼저 떡배서 세우시지 봐. 이 민그 소샤 세우레스라 떡배바 식소신도. 베나 단데 데딜라도데 베저난라와 신앙스 남베 체멜로면 주문남지 시와 따라나서 동어 바식 동어 바식 떡밥 바식 소신jo와 신이당参加사도 상마 뭐지 아바데 그래서 떡밥 바식 소신jo는 저거 베나 최단 최진당 시든당 지당 신이당参加당 지당 타대당 그저도 주지소 지남샤 군다 두마체 남 저데 참남데 레서다 아주 이네
700 already crystal so 30
저거 되는데
700 did it.
참남데 레서 관대 하는 신야 남배 체멜로면 전문남이 시was다 나서 동어 바시 인원에 저거 배나 최단 추진 지시된 진입이参加되는 제보다 말로시네 뒤라 참남데 최단 추진 남샤당 타대 민지가 뒤네 인원이 라임데 고대 간대
Did it? Yeah, it must be this one. Okay. Difference non. Oh, right. Okay, excellent. So today we're looking at definition and definendum. So these are to do with explaining how things work, but to be understood that they're mere like imputation. So it's understood on the basis of imputation. So it starts off with on the previous page on page 162 with this quote on the exposition of valid cognition, where it says the presentation of subject and predicate, difference, non-difference, and the like. These exist without analysis into reality and in accordance with the conventions of the world. So in accordance with the convention alone, everything is formulated, thesis, proof, and so on. These were constructed by the learned ones to help those lead to ultimate truth. So this is the basis for this understanding.
다디 지신이 천자단 진이세야 되나 근데 배저 말로거나 단다 롭지지 않나야고요 되나 먼저 저도 상마다 떡배 세우셔로 하 되나 먼저 추출라 추진이 가려나 추진이 가려서나 렌시셔로 렌시셔와디 추진이로 다 추시디다 천자로 아니 제가 추시디 천자로 추 렌시셔와디 추진이로 제가 뒤도 상마 떡배 세우셔요다 간다로 학벌도 천자라 민도도 떡배 세우로 되나 먼저 다 표백이 출려야 이 와달라 추지거라 인지기 와다시거라 아니
Disanja di Ming.
자가게 빠니 시거도 잠마다 미 선조로 똑배 선조로 진디 천지 진이사도 똑배 바시게 선조래도
So, when we look at these definitions and definiendums, then you can see how they're like it's this definiendum is mere imputation. So, for example, when you talk about water, now the definition of water is wet and moistening. So water is defined as the definiendum. Wet and moistening is the definition. So this water is merely a name that's imputed. And you can see this because in English you call it water, in Tibetan it's chu, in Hindi it's like pani and so forth, right? So there's different words, but these words are mere imputation on something that is wet and moistening. They're called different things.
다이나디 키바드 가래라나 친이 라요인데 이지민지게 다녀야지 라다고 말해요. 그 단다디 미수 추디 통하다 렌시샤와 임바디 먼저 하고 우리 미창매 렌시샤와 친이디 람산 로를 샤요 용어 친이디 로를 샤도고 렌시샤와 렌시샤와디 단다디 람산 로를 샤고 이나 델라다 출라야디 선자디 다 델라다 민다고 민데 말람나나 하고 와 먼저 렌시샤와라 그래서 표백 민지도나래는 출라고래 인지주도나 와다라고 먼저 보고 신주간은 당보 와다 신거 말아가더니 아메틀라 어디 와다래 디 티리 디 플라워레 라고다 파메 디세오레고
Right. So when we talk about this definition of water being wet and moistening, so everybody knows the meaning of that, right? Like, I mean, it doesn't mean everybody's memorized that definition, but everybody kind of knows what water is, based on when you see it, you know what it is. But not everybody knows it as water, right? Only people who speak English, who've been taught English, know it as water, right? That name water has to be taught. Whereas the actual function of water, people can know intuitively, like in their mind, right? Like, that you see it, you know what it does. But that name water, you have to be taught, because if you don't speak Hindi, you wouldn't know it's pani, right? Like, so that has to be taught. So as, when small childs, they're all taught the names of different things, right? So these definiendums are all just these names that are learnt.
다나도 된대기 친이단 천전남샤 땡라파로 고바 카레요레스나 고바디도 다 동반이도 와 전단데 뭐도 탑시 아니 탑람나다 또 아니 군조비 남샤도 신고 당보로와 당보 동반이기 땡라파발라 당보시 군조비 나샤 땡발라 아니도 천저가 남샤도 다도 르 셰베 유독주래야다 대화요 인장 딩에바디 신고요 레스타데 이디말로샤나 디나 세우다 대다 콘디 참아 남리지 슝탕바다 르바마와나 슈나지 네로 쳐발 세스도 어디마 턴다디 찍라 안로샤나디.
Okay, so what is the need to learn about definitions and definiendums and so forth? Well, it helps to understand emptiness. It helps with understanding of ultimate truth, but it also helps to understand relative truth and how the mind relates to objects and so forth. I mean, it explains here in this first paragraph. When logicians engage in the quest for discovering the nature of reality as a means to understand the ultimate truth, they utilize categories such as subject and predicate, thesis and proof, okay, that's definitions. I've never heard it used. No, that's strange. Okay, it's definitions and definiendums and so on, as listed earlier in the citation from Dharmakirti's Explanation of Valid Cognition, which is the quote that I just read.
That's all. 다데네 디셰도데 니 도디긴 시소 통마르 천저지 남샤 딱갑데는 거죠. 천저지 남샤 된라 파와디. 다 찍다 타데다 도저 태곤라야 딥주주제스 제일마 찍다 타데도 저 칼레칼레 레용 그래. 라마고 제 단다 미세 드링 천저가 남샤디다 시로 천저가 남샤 시그레스로.
Okay, so it goes through a whole list of different things here, like subject and predicate, thesis and proof. These are also strange translations, by the way. One and many is one of them. So we'll go through a lot of those things later. The chapter's coming up. But for now, we're looking at definitions and definendums.
다딜라 디도 파고 참배 도디긴래 서도 당도 어디 직도 졸라 데데스 말로샤비네 고 파자샤고로 지진 참보 conversation 요선자 마음바 아니 지진 참보 conversation 템바당 제야게 야 템데당 저서라 펜도요 인자 직디 디셰데스 자고 인스로
순한자 남들로 거거든요.
말을 해 되시죠. 그나저 뒤로나 디그라디.
La. So, now it goes on to go talk about, Maitreya's ornament of the sutra and 3 elements. But reading these verses out, like giving the lung in a sense, if Geshe reads them, it's very beneficial because it helps to create positive imprints. So, when he reads it, okay, sorry. I thought you meant you were going to read it out. Sorry. To explain the meaning of it, it's good because it creates the imprints to be able to, or it helps you to be able to understand what's taught. Okay. Yeah. So Geshe has the long of ornament of the sutra, but he wants to focus more on the explanation.
Sanje namji semjen la sikdo getik de ma de je jamna sanje ge ne semjen la pembe chi de sanje tamje ge ne semjen la pembe chi de penda chi na tinyi dang ko ne semjen la penda wa chi de tinyi dang tinshi dang changja dang de zu ge ne yewa de su she bre es ro zang de na tinyi changja sa de doksu ke ma re kung she ge ora ji den chamba ko mo de gen na la 아니 마 숭샤요 레스디 천주 남샤도 셰디 심지라 펜다에 치 숭샤요 레스나
Right. So the verse goes, the Buddhas, in order to help sentient beings, gave the perfect explanation by means of the distinctions between the basis, definition, and definendums. So this verse here, it explains clearly that all of this was taught, by the Buddhas, but also this is Maitreya wrote this down in order to benefit beings. Like he taught this, and everything that was done to explain this definitions and definendums was all done with this intention to benefit beings, or in order to help sentient beings.
다드네 제송도 디게 딱 고바디 당기 셰우나 시 고바 가래요라디 아니 먼저 다 뭐에 내당 가르가르 예매디 셰야게 고바 용거로 아무 먼저 다 단다 말한저 내당디 마신 유지 내당 마신 버 안게 먼저 강에 용되게 요로 다 디셈버이나 유지 내당 신은 내주디 셈버 생게 강에디 뉴뉴 누고 요로 다 디셰고로 단다 도도로.
So the need to understand it is basically because through understanding this, you understand how things work, how things function, the nature of things, and how these things work. And the more you understand how things interact and function with each other and so forth, then the less you struggle, the less difficulties you have. Obviously, the more understanding you have, then the easier things are. So it's good to understand how things function and how things interact with each other.
다 데든데서 나 셰송바다 천재 쉬숨데 요발에 스텔라 체지다 숨샤와 진시 천자 진이 샤온 거라 페나델라도 베잖아 다데 말라샤나 대송바다라 천재 쉬숨데 요발에 대다 렘바시에서 강 천벌 체외 천자 당사 강그 천벌 체외 진이 강 천벌 체외 진시 체로 천벌 체외 시디 셰고라 페나 대난 당도 배자 시작으로 지나는 분바서 분바 진실이 분바 진실 분바 가르쳐 거라서나 시자인 바드 천으로 강성 거는 시자인 바드 천 이 가르쳐나 아니 로이드 차로 와디 진이인 바드 아디 결계 주심로서 분바 진시 시자 천자 분바 시자인 바드 천자 아니 로이드 차로 와디 시제 진이로 와 로이드 차로 와디 시제 진이로 와 안데 두스제네 다디
So it goes on to say here, the 3 elements of the definition are respectively definendum, that which is defined, definens, which is defines, but this word here is definition. Like when Geshe reads it in the Tibetan, this word is definition. So it's normally definendum, definition, and basis. And the basis is that by which the definition is established. To illustrate with this, we have an example of a vase, right? Now, a vase is the base, and if you want to understand that it's an object of knowledge, then that which is trying to be defined. So you're using the vase to define the object of knowledge. So the vase is therefore an object of knowledge because it fits the definition of object of knowledge, which is that which is fit to be the object of cognition. Another translation of this, if anybody studied Dudra, of this definition is suitable to be known by a knower. That which is fit to be an object of cognition, that which is suitable to be an object of a knower, is more literal, and that's what I think the more common translation is, but this is fine. Right. So it works because basically you can say, why is the vase an object of knowledge? Because it is because it is something that is fit to be an object of cognition, and therefore it's an object of knowledge because it fits the definition of an object of knowledge, and therefore it suitable as a definendum of an object of knowledge. Does that make sense? Okay. If something fits the definition of object of knowledge, therefore it is an object of knowledge. So the vase is an object of knowledge because it is something that is fit to be an object of cognition, or is something that is suitable to be known by an awareness. Suitable to be known by an awareness. Does that make sense now? You can see that? Okay. Yeah, looks also. Okay, all right. So it says to elaborate. It is the basis of knowing that a vase is fit to be an object of cognition that one can understand a vase as being an object of knowledge. That is to say, it is by means of a specific definition that the vase can illustrate an instance of a knowable object to someone's mind. I don't know if that makes it any clearer, but okay, right. Right. So the way it kind of works, to give you an example, is first we perceive the object, which in this example we'll use water, by means of its kind of definition first. What appears to our consciousnesses is this thing that which is wet and moistening. And then after perceiving that thing which is wet and moistening, somebody goes, oh no, that's water. And then you go, okay, then you can link that, then you go, okay, you can put that label on this appearance of wet and moistening. So that in a daily life we do it all. The book makes it much more complicated than it is. It's actually really quite simple. Right. Right. The mirror the that the New Zealand do sigro New Zealand midi mashi tongo hagora. Right. The tamuchujugana the mirror bahagomara and pama the mirror.
Slagura. Ah, then that me. And those dance, those chadegor, dance, get among the shagor.
So we use this every day. Like the definition of a person is that which is capable of speech. So then you might come to be aware of somebody who's like a person, but you don't know this name, like you don't know this label person. So somebody goes, oh, he's a New Zealand person. Then you go, oh, okay, you can link it to that kind of being which is capable of speech in New Zealand is a New Zealand person. But like it's more, if you think about it, when you're a small child, you sort of know what a person is, but you don't have that label, right? Until you're taught it by your parents or whoever goes, okay, that's a person, and then you link that label to that thing.
Chandrakirti, it's a little bit funny, First, I come here, I know human being, I don't understand the English person, right? Sometimes someone said this cup is person, I believe this person. Oh, that the person is the cup is okay. This cup then do your chegora. The Ming the Chanja the Ming.
Right.
So music the Amjana Lagu.
So when I first came here, like I didn't know what the label for a cup was in English, right? I knew what a cup was, I knew the Tibetan for it, but I didn't know the English. So if somebody had told me this is a person, I would have believed them, right? But no, somebody said, okay, that's not a person, that's a cup, this is a book, this is, and then you start to learn all these labels, but you can see how these definendums are just merely labels, right?
That is me senjore it. And the language that Tevenya, the language, language is the petty complicated. Music is saying, the language.
Right.
The language is the religion, the religion, Chiglam, Jigli, brother, beliefs,
right. So, this language is all made by people, right? It's like a man-made thing. And like it's pretty complicated these days, language, but basically it only works because everybody believes in it, right? Like everybody agrees to call this a cup in New Zealand anyway. We all agree. And then that's how it works. So it's kind of like a religion, everybody just has faith in this thing and therefore somehow it functions. Yeah. No. The definition. So you know what a definition is as opposed to a definition? So water is the definition, wet and moistening is the definition. Okay? Yeah, we're good? Okay. Sorry, Gandhi Geshe.
Tachi Tini Jeva, Taju Yula, Namda to Machine, this lava. That the Malona and the self said, when I met how the me Tashi say what they may rangi Tiniro. Or Metumu Maimbe Tinita, may Tashi say what they made Tiniro. I know the Jang, Tashi say what they put you get Hagora, or Dinga Lava Tikido Seva. Right. The Meres Hago Mareta. Then they made that day. Magic work, Metumu Maimbe, Tashi say what they magic work Tinir is raw. Tumu Maimbe Tinir, don't you think?
So when we talk about this definition, right, we can talk about this hot and burning. It's been the specific definition for fire. Right, yeah. This is the definition for fire, but it's unique or specific to fire, this hot and burning. And you'd say even small children know that fire is hot and burning, right? Like they don't put their hand in it or something like that, right? They have this, they know that, but they wouldn't know that it's called fire. So they know what it does, but they don't know what it's called.
Lossy, Tibetan people don't know fire. Fire is English word. They know me. You don't know me. What is the me? It's funny, isn't it? It's really complicated. Language one language is maybe easier.
Yeah, well, It would make life easier.
So I mean, in India, I think there are maybe 100 different languages, completely different. You see in the money, India money. One side, this is all register money. In the government accept this money, the language. They don't have accept laws. They stay the language live in India. In Canada, I live in Canada. Maybe 6 hours go other side, and they got like completely different. From the another Bombay side, completely different. Language, speech, completely different. Funny. You can say that. That is me teaching you, me teaching
Okay.
me teaching you. Me that what the madam me my but to Jenny Gala and me teaching
Right.
you.
So we've just covered the specific characteristic of fire, which is that it's hot. So this is a list that's here. So that's number one. Then there's general characteristics such as impermanence in relation to fire, which are characteristics shared by both fire and other conditioned things, not fire.
근데
So,
매치 친이라나 대원에서는 매 미다고도 미치 친이라 말이야. 천절로 보고. 매치 친이서는 몇 개씩 말이야.
lots of.
DDS 노이니까.
Okay.
매 미다고는 말하네. 몇 개씩만. 몇 개씩만데 매치 친이래서.
Okay, so
매 미다고도 매치 단위 천절 지 천절을 납시하나. DDS 다다 되기서 말이야.
so in the Tibetan it seems to say it's a general definition rather than a characteristic. So if you're talking about a general definition, then you wouldn't say it's impermanence. You'd say a general definition of fire is that it's momentarily changing. So the characteristic may be impermanence, but the definition, general definition, is that it's momentarily changing because it's not unique to things. It's unique to fire. There's other things that are momentarily changing.
다단다 베나 품바 미다고 왔어요. 품바 베나 품바 때문에 책망 보여라. 품바 미다고 다 베나 다 품바 남나 데스킨도 거가보다 포바들 랍시나. 포바들아. 포바디 남나레 북드 랍시나다 북드 랍시나야보다.
Okay, yeah, I got a book.
북디야보다. 북디 미다고 왔어요. 북 아니 제바세요. 아니 북 뒤제서로 다 근데 북다 코란은 망보 쉬지도 알아.
So there's many of these differentiums that you can link to various objects, right? You could say characteristics. So like the book, you can say the book's impermanent, it's a product, it's a function, it's functioning, it's a functional thing, it's compounded. All of these things are true for a book, but they're also characteristics of other phenomena as well.
디 배워요. 배나 나 탭디 미다고 가르쳐야잖아. 그런 록조 딱벌레 도구에서네 그 미다고 잘해. 딱과 많이자 그 미다고 잘해. 어두스래. 딱과 많이자 그 미다고 잘해. 이 책디 다다다다다 도구여라.
So why are these so many things like, and why is it impermanent? Because it's the opposite of permanent, right? Like it eliminates permanence. So that's why you have all these these characteristics, so many of them, because each one eliminates an untrue aspect. So impermanence eliminates permanence.
And they love the 다벌레도 다 마체벌레도 배시네. 탭디 제벌에 있어요. 제벌에 매주는 마체벌레 도구 인자 제벌에 다다다로다. 마체벌레 도구 인디 제벌 잘했어.
Okay, so it's it's also Chepas in it? Chepas?
배전한테 말로 시티도. 마체벌레 도구에 차네 제벌 줘봤어. 남샤이. 이 말로 신다다. 다벌레 도구에 차네 미다바 당.
Oh, okay. So Chepa did. Oh, God. Yeah. So the fact that it's a product eliminates Machepa, which is non-produced, and so forth. So impermanence eliminates permanence. Machepa eliminates. Non-produced eliminates is eliminated by product, and so forth, or non-product, as it says here. But
어디지? 다디네 레다디 지난다 지버레 미다바 뭐고 제바 다도 상마 탭디 탭미다버레 탭모버레 탭제바레스로 이나코 다델라 미다벌라고 아디다 네 뭐벌라고 아다 마체 제바레라이버디 폴라틱 도조 그 차네 아니고 닝디 타네 차용 거레스
So you have all these things like impermanence, functional thing, product, compounded that have the same meaning, but each one of those eliminates a specific thing, right? Like impermanence eliminates permanence, and so forth. So that's why they have all these different kind of synonyms that they attribute, because each one eliminates one aspect.
다데 도주 르르르르르 독당 차라다 멘다 용거라 탭디 미다보도나 탭모보도나 탭미다보도 차야 말아 탭체보도나 탭미다보체 다데라 코란 또 깔르기 가자디 가야디 칼르기 네 도야 렐할로 용거라
Right. So if you understand it in terms of that, if you realize the book is impermanent, you don't necessarily recognize that it's a product, and vice versa. So that's why, even though if it's something that's a product must be impermanent, it doesn't mean that because you realize something is a product, you realize that it's impermanent, and so forth. So this is why they have these different attributes.
탭디나레 당좀 신야 뭔고 쉽죠 코란으로 탭체와임바 탭모부임바 탭미다와임바 다 탭다메임바 탭다지로 어지 동임바 다 간단하게 돼 제도 봐요 탭랑원에 또
Okay, so there's many things you can realize out of the book. Of course, it's impermanent, it's a product, it's selfless, it's empty, it's not self-supporting, substantially existent, it's not unitary, permanent, and so forth.
다디네 다디올라 디샤다 양 티니샤라 리미든 세바다 록다 세베 티니스 양 티니샤단데라 멘다 니샤도 다도즈 텍스체나야 고요라
So this is the basis of this understanding how a definitum and a definition kind of work together. So it's good if we can understand this a little bit.
다딜라 티니들라 니샤로 리미든 세베 티니당 록다 세베 티니 예나 단대기 티니 전제셔야 돼 리미든부터 리미든 세워서야 되나 가르래 람나 페나 페나 딜라다 리미든 세워들라 페나 딜라다 미든 세워 티니스라 또 대신 수요 뒤지는와 아니 분배 티니의 조바다고 조고 전라 마케바 캡제주의 리미든 세워서라도데 또 대신 수요 뒤지는와디 분배 티니레스로 조디 전라 아니 카시엘라 마케바 카시 캡체와 근데 지금 인자 근데 리미든 세워서 캡체와 마케베 교다 캡체베 교 제약 제도 리미든 티니샤고 그랬대.
Okay, so when you talk about definitions, there's written basically suitable definitions and
리미든 세워. 리미든 세워. 말로셔는 되잖아. 또 대신 주요 대신에 데벨롭먼트 저거는 마찬가지 캡지 주요 리미든 세워 티니스라도. 이 단대값이 셔야 되겠다는 거.
So I want to do definitions. Return ko.
리미든 세워 티니스. 아들라도 돼. 안디 당기 제다래. 단대 배나
Right.
타월에 도베체네 미다바 당스 마체월 도베체네 제와 줘서
Yeah,
마예베
that's fine.
티니스. 다 시버스도다. 당가 시버들 또 대신 주요 뒤지는 거. 배 티니의 저거 때문에 저 전라 마차바 캡지 주요 리미든 세베 티니스. 라도
Oh, okay. So look, anyway, basically, there's suitable definitions that are established and unsuitable definitions, right? And a definition can be unsuitable because of either covering too much, like pervading too much, or not. So the fault of over-pervasion or the fault of non-pervasion. These are two reasons why something and then the third one is the fault of not being present in its instances. These are three reasons why something would be an unsuitable definition.
나 록도 세버세디 로왕도 록도 세버세디 아니 나도 시절라 덴바니요로 나무산제베 덴바니 샤그로 니 힌두도 덴바직레 샤고 말어
Right.
아니 제가 덴바니 디기 덴바직 록도 세로가
Right.
어딘데로 다 록도 세버세디 되래.
So, for example, a fault of non-pervasion would be an example of, like in Buddhism, we hold to two truths, but the Hindu tradition holds to only one truth. So, in this way, this would be an example of like non-pervasion. It doesn't cover everything that needs to be covered. Basically, they only cover one truth rather than two.
록도 세버세. 다 되네. 한데 갑디 링미드세베 친이들 교숨단 태워지 거래서 교숨단 태워지로 교 당보드 가르스나 마체베 교로 봐 교니버디 캡치베 교 교숨보디 친실을 미네베 교 앞에나 당보디 가르셔서나 이 슈베 연가 로마다 다바제바디 아니 준신기 친이들 샤나 마체베 교로 신이나 슈베 연가 론도 덴베 캬그마로 봐서 마체베 교로 에스티 마 당보디.
So if we talk about these faults, the first, the fault of non-pervasion. An example of this would be that which possesses branches and leaves as the definition of a tree. That would suffer from the fault of non-pervasion due to under-pervasion, as it says in the book, since it does not cover all classes of trees. Okay. So then there's three faults that you can have. The fault of non-pervasion, the fault of over-pervasion, and the fault of not being present in its instances.
준신기 친이는 살레게와 샤비나 살레게와이나 아니 캡치베 준으로 살레게저를 매도단도 신차가 말아 살레게와 캡치베 준으로스티.
So this first type of fault, you understand that it doesn't cover enough. It doesn't cover everything that could be a tree. And then there's one of over-pervasion, which would be that which arises from the earth. So sure, that would cover all trees, but it also covers a lot of other things that aren't trees, like flowers and different types of plants as well. So that would be an example of over-pervasion.
친실을 미네버스도 그러 나 단도 도대체 주인이 와서 분배진이로 왔대 분배진이데 준신기 친이를 샤비나 아니 얘라 신기 대화코랑 요 말아봐다 그래서 친실을 미네버스 친실들라 다 신내요 말아봐죠 벌레 요 말아디.
Yeah, so the third one is that which is capable of functioning as a bulbous flat-based water pourer as a definition of a tree would suffer from the fault of not being present in its instances. So basically, because trees aren't flat-bottomed, bulbous water pourers, right? Then they're not present. Like that definition doesn't fit to the tree, which means it's not present in its instances, right? Like that is the definition of a vase, and vases are that, and therefore they are present in the instances, but trees aren't. So that would be this third type of fault for a definition.
Is
that clear?
Yeah,
it's actually simpler than the book makes it, to be honest. Yeah, so if we take water, right, okay.
나 마제베 균을 가려요래 라위나 아니 신기 사시세고데 신기 메요라 신기 메 사시세고데 메치니샤나
신기
메로 멜 망보요라 도서 메다단다 로그 메다 망보요라 신기 메 사시세고데 메치니샤나 아니 가르죠 가르도스다 저랑서 지금 삼다.
Okay, so here's a question for you. Given that the definition of fire is hot and burning, if we said like a wood fire, what would be the problem with that?
Fire la jo ma.
Sorry, wood hot and burning. Hot and burning wood? Hot and burning wood. Okay, yeah. Hot.
De me tinyi shana jong khare.
Yeah, so if we said hot and burning wood was the definition of fire, which of the faults would that be? What would be the problem with that? Yeah, mark up great. Under pervasion. Yeah, other things are hot and burning. Yeah, like yeah, so it's under pervasion.
Yeah, sev cha dong de.
Yeah. Non-pervasion. The fault of non-pervasion. Yeah, non-pervasion. Yeah, dig John Tangbo. Is it clear? You get it?
See that? Huh? You lost? Yeah, I lost it. Okay. Tangbo de.
Okay.
Tangbo de.
It was.
Machabe jun.
Yeah, Machiavellian. Yeah.
Machiavellian. He don't have book.
Oh, you need to get the book.
You don't have book. A little bit harder. Oh, dear. Machiavellian. And those la na dear.
Yeah.
Ser jikdana. Right. Let chap much of Sajara till something. Let's see that Sanja Malachi.
Okay.
Me, New Zealand, me, Gorilla, and a carchat.
Okay, so if we were saying,
like,
it's like saying, what would be the fault of saying if somebody's a person, they have to be a New Zealand person? Yeah, it doesn't pervade, right?
Not New Zealand Marwa.
Cav, how can we do? Yeah, inclusive, non-inclusive, inclusive. Okay, you could say pervade is basically includes everything. Right? All inclusive. Sorry. Yes. Okay. So is or isn't. If we forget about inclusive and non-inclusive or pervasion, just say is or isn't.
New Zealand me Yungorilla.
Okay. So if somebody's a person, do they have to be a New Zealand person? No.
Oh, did it? Said, oh,
so that's non-pervasion.
That's a
non.
That Dangi did it. Sing me such say what the Maying Golana. Maying sing such the Maying the water.
So if you say wood, hot and burning, it's under pervasion because there's things that are hot and burning that aren't wood. So there's fires basically that aren't wood fires, would be the thing. But we're talking in terms of the definition. So we say hot and burning wood. There's things that are hot and burning that aren't hot and burning wood.
아니 미직지고 그쪽에 미직지고 제어해서는 말아봐다 저거 말아 미직지고 인구 말아봐디 먼저 내가 지금 강해지 주나 들어와 그나 릴레이션십으로 가보이나 이 미직지고 릴레이션십 말아봐 미니가 봤어요 이 나랑 저게 매전하는 som다 여러
Okay, so in our daily life, you know, if we have difficulties at a place or we have difficulties in a relationship, you know, it's not just one person, right?
미직이 강해 인구 말아봐
Yeah, it's not the fault of one person. Like there's two people in a relationship, so you can't say it's all one person's fault. So this is
like, so
this is a non-pervasion.
Right,
so if there's a problem, I'm not necessarily the problem maker.
There are some, you know.
Yeah, maybe. No, not really.
Yeah.
Right. So if you don't want to think about it in terms of pervasion, you can talk about it in terms of is or isn't or exists or doesn't exist.
다들 마제베 균신 다 캡치베 균신다
Okay.
캡치베
Yeah.
캡치베 균인 걸로서나 가서나 다 계좌 셴이나 와 계좌 셴이나 미인고레스 랍잖아 와
Okay.
계좌 셴어디 미친이 람나 아 계좌 셴어져라 계좌 셴이라 계좌 셴이 미친이 람나 다 가래 캡처 쳐서 계좌 셴이 이게 미만인 게들이 여러
All right. So if we something that's over pervading, is that what it said here? Over pervasion would be example of somebody talking. No, like talking, and I guess you'd say a being talking is the definition of a human. That wouldn't be suitable because there's beings that can talk that aren't human. Parrots.
예
Dogs are debatable. Parrots, we'll go with parrots.
there is a oman bema
Yeah, that parrot. Let's just stick with parrots. It's easier.
any dogs they're talking sometimes they're counting dogs counting
Uh,
no each other dog talking is counting counting
that
number
well, that's not the word.
and singing dogs singing
It's talking. Geshe says to talk.
and dogs talk this in a how are you something say like this talking some dog teach like that good morning
Yeah, this probably we don't need to spend half an hour debating this, to be honest. Or maybe we do. All right, dogs can talk. Let's just leave it at
and
that.
the dogs talking no talking they're talking me I don't understand really talking dogs talking yeah dogs talking and the birds talking me but I don't know they're talking huh what's it
It's just another language, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know. Anyway.
다 겹쳐올래 되잖아
So that's an example of over.
차와 you know 다 겹쳐올라 차와데 매진이잖아 아니 경가도 다 되다
So, for example, now if we say hot is the definition of fire, what's the problem with that?
다 겹쳐올 제단고 다 겹쳐서
Over
계속
perversion. Over, not under. Over.
over 겹쳐올
Is this, yeah, so
Over,
it's over.
over,
It covers more than just fire.
too much yeah 어디 다 겹쳐서
Yep. And then got it.
다 디세브잖아
Is that clear?
어디 다 디제나 진이라 쩐데도 태워 그거 쩐데 태워야
Okay, are we clear now on over pervasion, under pervasion? What about the third one?
다시 색발라나 아니 딱다르고 다 겹쳐와요 말 겹쳐와요 말 다시 색발라나 딱다르고
So if you say hot and burning, then it's just right. It's like it doesn't cover too much and it doesn't leave anything out.
다 배나 색발
What? So what?
아세 미러웨
Yeah, it's middle way. Okay.
색발라위나 매진이잖아 경거다 색발
Okay, if we say burning is the definition of fire, what's the problem with that? Yeah.
for example yeah and now there lots of fertilizer burning like that
Yeah, there's acid, basically acid is
this
burning.
fire marara
Yeah, acid's not fire,
they're
right?
burning
But
very
it's still
fast.
burning.
And there's the laser burning laser very sharp yeah that is on
Then you gotta be careful because that can be actually fire.
that 차와 색과 니가 차서는 안에 매차로더라
Right. So if you get both, if you get the hot and the burning together, then it fits as the definition of fire.
배나 디나다 차와 색과 니가 있나 매인 거로 왜 다시나
So if it's both hot and burning, then it must be fire.
근데 추차오 지나 되게는 매르베 추차오 들어 근데 차와를 색과를 차와
So
색과 니가
does that mean hot water is fire because it's hot and burning? Everything contains the fire element.
Has only fire.
So everything's fire? So it's fire then? Is it fire or not? It's not. It's not fire. Okay. Chutsapo memare.
In the water.
What? Yeah. So water contains the fire element. But that was okay. So the
Chudi nala.
nangla me you know memare.
Me come.
Me come you
Juwa me come yore.
Yeah, you're right. You know.
Dare me tida me mara. Me come da mela kyoyo. Dare. Ko chu nala me come yore, lungan yore, sangam yore, juwa shiga yore.
Right. So yeah, it contains the fire element, but and this also contains water, earth, and wind as well.
I see. Cold water.
Still has the
Yeah, but
the shukchijung.
there is it. What karishe chukchichu?
Then chu takwa yoro, takwa tamu. Dinale that me come yoro.
Right.
이날 그 추시에 채워서는 작화 차서라 당원 시에 채워있나 아니 야야야 아니 매다 중앙 걸 좋은 거라고 그 중앙 시여로 중앙시는 롱시에 채워네 아니 롱차양 거를 매 시에 채워네 매감 채워네 아니 렌시에 채워네 주도스라 그 시에 치중 숙치중
Yeah, so like everything contains the four elements, like water, but because water is predominant, it becomes water is the predominant element. If
there
it's
only people have question or some people listening.
Oh, that's for the wood fire. Yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah, okay.
Well, okay. It's still good. Good. Yeah.
Yeah. This is synonymous. You mean? Yeah. Okay, for impermanent and product, because objects of knowledge and impermanent are not synonymous. They're not synonymous. Yeah, what's the question? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what's the substance for impermanent and product? So that's the question is what's the substance for impermanent product? So di debnangla di mitakpatang chepa zayure. So di zay karire. Zay chikpa yure.
Zay se di tanda dire. Zay se di la hando di chegora. Zay se di da ngobu tanda benan di chegora. Nuba la zay la go. Nuba.
So this.
Yeah.
So the substance can be said to be the power, like the power to change can be the substance for impermanence. So it's like the power. Like the functionality of the thing. Right. So something that's permanent doesn't have this power to change, and therefore it doesn't have the substance of impermanence. Gua change. Okay, so it doesn't have the power to produce something else. Alright, but the Great Exposition School says permanent phenomena does have substance. Right. Right. So they say it does have substance. Because it functions, and therefore it has power. So what is it the power to do? It has the power to be apprehended by a mind, and that's
참만 기도고라.
Yeah.
유진의 기도고라.
it can produce a mind.
또 도고다.
Yulchen ketub gire.
깨깨만 유진의 또 도고래.
Yulchen ketub gire. Yes. So a knower can apprehend it, or a object possessor, literally object possessor, can apprehend it, and that's why it has the power and that has functionality.
그래서 제세야들라 캡 상말라 캡아디다 누가 다가나샤는 캡을했다. 들라 차라만 거여와. 차라만 거여다. 상말라 캡에기 전화디 누가 샤샤나다 상마 캡도.
So for them,
지라마 먹었다 줍도 수이나 누가들라 샤샤나. 아니 디고르다. 딱발라디 누가디 메서다 줍도 공마이나 디 샤와케트야 누가 제어라 누가딘데라 미다고라게요 누가 단당하노도 레다 누가들 랍샤는 디그다.
Okay, so this power can pervade, right? Like it's pervasive, this power. So, like according to the lower tenet systems, these permanent things have this power to be apprehended by a consciousness or a knower, object possessor, sorry, not a knower. So because of that, then they have this power or this functionality.
Question? No. We stop here. A little bit harder for your subject. A little bit maybe headache.
Yeah, you got it?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Has it pervaded the room? Pervaded everyone here? Or is it under-pervaded?
Lo sang ten pe dro me sa sun ki dro we mun sa tak tu ne gyu chi idam guru ratna mandala kaniriatayami. Due to the merit of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Whatever slight positive potential I may have created, by paying homage, offering, and acknowledging my faults, rejoicing and requesting that the Buddhas stay and teach, I now dedicate all this for full awakening. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best, by the victorious ones thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the King of Dharma, Sankhapa's way of Dharma practice flourish. May the omens of obstacles be pacified, and all the conducive circumstances be complete. The wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparably kind Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Saviour of the snowland teachings and transmigratory beings, who makes extremely clear the path that is unification of emptiness and compassion, to the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. You who uphold the subduous moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the 3 jewels, Saviour of myself and others, your disciples, please live long. By relying on the 2 accumulations of myself and others in the 3 times, may the teachings of the conqueror Losang Dragpa blaze for a long time.